through your freedom.
We're back, folks, and we're starting a little early for this Thursday, the monologue Q&A. I've got 26 hours of work to do in a 24-hour day, and I just couldn't get it all crammed together right. I need some of that magic that Biden has, where he just says one day, he goes, 37 billion more for Ukraine. That's right, folks. As soon as the Polish border attack happened, Biden came out and said, hey, 37 billion more. Okay, that sounds like a good idea. It's like, where do these people get off? Another 37 billion? I mean, let me tell you about this, right? Unbelievable. 37 billion. We're going to give another 37 billion to a man, Zelensky, who is now backpedaling away from pushing for NATO to attack Russia based off of a Polish incident, that is Ukraine missiles blowing up. But this is what Zelensky, the moron, right, is saying, right? He is truly, folks, a moron. And he wants to tell every other country, though, that they don't know, right? He has amazing mental powers to know what others don't know, even though he says he doesn't know either. Here's his quote. It's rather Biden-esque. It's kind of Fetterman-ish. It's Clinton-esque. It's Obamanese. Quote, I don't know 100%. I think the world also doesn't know 100% know what happened. We can't say specifically that this was the air defense of Ukraine. Speaking of the attack. He says, I don't know 100%. Of course he doesn't know 100%. No one can know. You can only know what people tell you and what you see with your own eyes, right? I mean, that's too deep for Zelensky. That's too deep, right? Being all philosophical and shit. But for him to say, I think the world also doesn't 100% know what happened. Who is he to tell the world what they know or don't or think or believe? But let's give the man another $37 billion. After the mainstream media, the Associated Press, tried starting World War III using a Zelensky military fuck-up and tragedy on the Polish border and the Polish people and the Polish nation. That's where we're at, folks. That is where we're at. The Infinity of Stupidity. Unbelievable. SHTF style. Now, speaking of that, Steny, the deep state is patriotic, Hoyer, has retired from his leadership position, folks, because the Republicans now have control of the House of Representatives. Now, I will not wave the pom-poms of Rhino Republican Washington, D.C. I know there's good Republicans there, and they're fighting to do something. But Steny Hoyer, this guy.
They want to eliminate what they call the deep state. The deep state is a cadre of professionals dedicated to honoring the Constitution, the laws of this country, and carrying out the policies of the Congress and the president.
That guy has now said, you know what? I don't want to be in leadership in the Democrat Party now. Same with Nancy Pelosi. After 20 years of being in charge as either Speaker of the House or in charge of the Democrats in Congress as the minority leader, she is now stepping down. Ding dong, the Wicked Witch is what? right? She's defanged. They're taking her power from her. She's like, well, if I don't get to be the queen, I'm not going to have anything to do with this, right? So she gave up her leadership. Like the world is a better place because of her crap. Unbelievable. Again, the Republicans, what are you going to do now that you have power? Are you going to sit back on your hands, right? Are you going to sit on your thumb? What the hell is going on? Well, John Voight, fabled actor, famed Hollywood actor and Republican, big time Trump supporter. He has a message, folks, a post-election message. And I think it's a valid one. Wake up, America. We won the election barely, but we won. But Trump is not president. Biden is. That's still a fact. Right? And Biden already is saying, you know what? I don't have to work with you guys. You have to work with me. Just the outright arrogance of the ignoramus is incredible. The infinity of stupidity, right? To infinity and beyond stupidity. These people won't quit, folks. Wake up, America. Yes, do it. We need to keep waking up America. That's our role here, folks. Prep to action. Get prepared with food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan. Now, if you've been with me all 10 years, as many of you have been, all 10 years that we've been on the air, December 13th or 14th will be 10 years. Then you know that that's the message. Get prepared. These people are moronic. They are dangerous. They are pig-headed. And once we're prepared, then what? Right? When you have a plan for what's going on your street out in front, in your city, in your county, in your state, once you have a plan for that and you have the items you need, well, what else is there? Well, how about if you help others, right? And so that's why I say share that internet address. Share the YouTube address with others so they too can wake up. They too can get the message. They too can get prepared and they too can participate. Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. I've talked to people and said, man, what would have it been like in 1776, 1775 to be an American, 1777 to feel the pressure to pen the Declaration of Independence, right? And then to participate in kicking the ever-loving shit out of the English. Well, it would have sucked before, it would have sucked during, and it would have sucked afterwards. They had shit hits the fan. But John, it's such a famous time. I mean, history, world history was changing. The birth of the American Republic, the implementation of democratic processes in that republic, all good stuff. I'd be like, yeah, what do you think we're doing right now? What we're doing right now is the same. We're dealing with tyranny. We're putting it on notice, and we're going to have to fight for it. Same stuff is happening now. People who have romanticized the revolution and forgot about all the blood, sweat, tears, frostbite, starvation, hunger, torture, and everything else. We get to have ours, folks. We get to have it. Now, where do we go today? There's a lot of topics. Penelope let me know, hey, FTX, right? Yeah, that's a big deal, folks. That's a big deal. That's a big one. And then what the Republicans want to do with Biden. Also very interesting. So let's start with crypto. The crypto fraud, folks, it is going to affect all markets, not just the crypto market. It's not going to affect just the financial investment market. It is going to affect the supermarket that you shop at. Right? Now get this, folks. The bankruptcy liquidator who oversaw the Enron, if everyone remembers the Enron energy scandal and screw job, the same guy is dealing with the FTX bankruptcy. John Ray III, right? He oversaw the unwinding and liquidation of Enron. This is a Zero Hedge article that I'm going to read you some passages from. He said, hey, quote, Never in my career have I seen such a complete failure of corporate controls and such a complete absence of trustworthy financial information as occurred here. That's a quote from the guy who is looking at FTX going, I have never seen in my career a complete failure of corporate controls. Now, folks, just so you know, a super nerdy geek and his super nerdy geek girlfriend were in charge of tens of billions of dollars. How the fuck does that happen in the first place? Two young millennials, maybe even Generation Z, right? Early 20s are in charge of that much money. Unfucking believable. Well, let me continue, right? John Ray continued and said, from compromised systems integrity and faulty regulatory oversight abroad. That's right. They were international. Tens of billions of American dollars, your dollars, in the hands of fruitcake, post-teenager, acne-riddled douchebag geeks playing in the international market. Oh, yeah. Laundering money and then feeding it back into Democrat and rhino politicians. From compromised systems integrity and faulty regulatory oversight abroad to the concentration of control in the hands of a very small group of inexperienced, unsophisticated, and potentially compromised individuals, this situation is unprecedented. Once again, the man who said, Enron, boy, did you guys fuck up. Boom! The Enron scandal, one of the biggest in history. Right, and then you look at Bernie Madoff, another investor group guy who was in control of a lot of money, took it, said, oh, yeah, you folks over there that invested with me, don't worry, I got you all taken care of, as he worked his Ponzi pyramid scheme and pulled all this money in. And yeah, again, folks, FTX, tens of billions, if not even more, in the hands, folks, of a very small group of inexperienced, that would be young, geeky, nerdy turds. Inexperienced, unsophisticated, meaning uneducated, unexperienced, not knowledgeable. Doesn't that sound like every Democrat you ever heard of? Unsophisticated and potentially compromised, meaning who the hell are they and why do they have this much authority? Who got them in this position of power? And are they compromised? Are they controlled? Can they be blackmailed? Right? This is why you're supposed to work with corporations that have very strict guidelines, follow regulatory rules, are watched very closely and audited, folks. This is incredible. How a company could get this big and it's not being independently audited, forced to be independently audited. Shit hitting the fan, you fucking bet. It's a lot of money for these turds to have, folks. Yeah, I just talked about Joe Biden throwing $37 billion, right? Just throwing it away. Well, that's bullshit chump change, folks, for the federal government. For a financial institution, look out. Now, according to John Ray III, the guy who oversaw the Enron scandal, he says he has located only a fraction of the digital assets the FTX group had. They've secured, folks, $740 million of cryptocurrency. Yeah. And it's just a fraction of the $10 to $50 billion that's missing that they disclosed. I mean, even that is kind of broad, don't you think? 10 to 50 billion? You can't narrow it down any more than that. They don't fucking know, folks. How big is this? And here's the thing about crypto. It is not invisible. It is traced, right? This whole blockchain thing. That's right, Democrats. That's right, Rhino Republicans. If that crypto money was funneled to you, they can trace it backwards to see who gave it to you, where it came from, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's right. You guys are on the leash. Unbelievable. Now get this, right? Get this. Corruption, right? First, the Biden syndicate, then the FTX fraud, right? Unbelievable, folks. The House Republicans came out and announced they're going to investigate Joe Biden and the Biden crime family. Quote, this is an investigation of Joe Biden. Now, Joe Biden came out and made a comment in reference to this and said, this is like comedy. When the press, the mainstream media asked him, hey, what's going on with the Republicans and their investigation of your son and your family and your business dealings? Are they going to quit giving him a freaking pass? I sure hope so. It would be nice for them to quit giving them a pass. But at least they asked a hard question, yeah, and Joe answered it. Oh, yeah, it's like comedy. Folks, it's a big deal. Why did the FBI not investigate? Why is the media allowing, Hunter Biden to get away with this? What the hell is going on? Did the Bidens benefit? Did the Democrat Party benefit from all this FTX fraud? The answer is yes, yes, and yes, folks. Now get this. The super nerd owner of FTX, the also Democrat donating crypto man, and his name is Sam Bankman-Fried, or Fried. I mean, literally his name is Bankman-Fried, F-R-I-E-D. He is going to be a fried bankman when all this is done. So Sam Bankman-Fried is blaming his super nerdy ex-girlfriend. You've probably seen pictures of her. She looks like a caricature. That's the best way I can put it. She looks like a caricature of a human being. She doesn't look real. That's how nerdy she looks. And this guy who's in charge of what, 10 to 50 to $100 billion? I mean, it's a lot of money. How did he's blaming his ex-girlfriend. So girlfriends of super young, super nerdy, inexperienced, unsophisticated, untrustworthy people, the girlfriends of these people are empowered to control billions and tens of billions of dollars in private investment interests. Folks, nerds everywhere out there are going to suffer for what these two loser Democrat socialist piece of shit millennials have done. It used to be, hey, you want something done right? Give it to a nerd. They'll work on it. Not anymore. Nerds and like the nerd at WeWork. Right? Remember that WeWork guy that he just tied up investment real estate everywhere and screwed everyone over, and another millennial asswipe. Right? Why should we trust nerds? Oh, and then there's this nerd here.
Was it a mistake in so many states and so many localities to see schools closed as long as they were?
Well, I don't want to use the word mistake.
Well, did we pay too high a price?
There will be deleterious collateral consequences.
Yeah, deleterious collateral consequences. Use words that are so big that only 10% of the country can even fathom what it is you're trying to say, and you're lying about it anyway. Nerds. Geeks. And they seem to be Democrats too. Well, there's a lot of us nerds and geeks out here, and I count myself among them, who aren't like these freaks. But I tell you what, girlfriends, young 20-something-year-old, nerdy-looking girlfriends get to control how shit has hit the fan, folks, to infinity and beyond, to Planet Stupid, right? And not only did they take us there, folks, they took us there at ludicrous speed. Not light speed, but fucking ludicrous speed. Unfucking believable. Now, I know I kind of drove that story and those thoughts into the ground like a fucking railroad spike. So I tell you what, I've been at it 20 minutes. Get your questions in down below to Jolene. We've got a lot of questions out there, a lot of comments. I've been getting emails from Christine Bahana, from Fuzzy, from Mr. Skylight. I've been getting other messages from Heidi. I've been getting other messages from Penelope. I've been getting messages from a lot of people out there, John and Dean and others, but get your questions in down below. This is where it really counts, right? Like I said, there's a lot of people in the R Syndicate, in the Prepared Mind Network, and we're all researching, and I want to thank everyone for doing that. But for the stuff I don't cover and the stuff, your particular thoughts, you could say, hey, John, take a look at this story here. And I'll look at it and I'll think about it with my thinking cap. But I tell you what, I want to know what's going on inside your head, right? From ear to shining ear, what's in your head? What are you thinking about it? Give me your opinion, your thoughts, your prognostications, your concepts. I may agree, I may partially agree, I may disagree, but it's good to get it out on the table and say, here's what I think. And then here's my opinion. And let's compare. It's fun. And it helps us get prepared. There's that plan thing again, right? Anyways, let's switch gears a little bit and say, hey, let's take a wild freaking guess as to what happened. Sponsored by the Jim Jones Juice, whose mascot is another little turd of a nerd. Folks, rock drummer Eric Kugrand is just bashing away, right, on his drums, right, having a great time. Folks, musicians used to die in helicopter and plane crashes or the infamous drug overdose. They didn't keel over and die in the middle of a concert. Well, Eric Kugrand did. I mean, I had no idea that drumming was heart straining. That the heart strain from drumming causes heart attack and death. Instantaneous. Beware, kids. Music is deadly. Yeah, it's just terrible, folks. Take a wild freaking guess. Truly, what the hell is going on? And now I want you to take a tragic guess. Take a wild freaking tragic guess at this. A 10-year-old girl collapsed at school and died. A fit and trim and healthy 10-year-old girl killed over. It's in the news. Mainstream media won't touch it. Dr. Fauci won't address all of the children keeling over. Little teeny kids, preteens, teens, college age, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50 people are like, oh, yeah, that's normal. Absolutely normal. Oh, yeah, that happens all the time. You bet. Now, get this, right? We take a wild freaking guess all the time. But the researchers out there, folks, the experts, like Dr. Fauci, that guy, right? Dr. Fauci. I mean, he'll explain it to you how it works. Listen to this.
With COVID, I mean, the things that we thought we knew in the beginning turned out as the months went by to not be the case, which really forced us to adapt and to change some of our policies and recommendations. That was interpreted by many as flip-flopping or not really knowing what's going on, when it really was the evolution of the science.
Fuck you, Dr. Fauci.
The best vaccination is to get infected yourself. If she really has the flu, she definitely doesn't need a flu vaccine. If she really has the flu,
she should not get it again.
No, she doesn't need it because it's the most potent vaccination is getting infected yourself.
Fuck you, Dr. Fauci.
There it is. Fuck you, Dr. Fauci, the top expert. Right? Well, researchers now come out and claim, you heard it here first on the Prepared Mind channel, right? In fact, let me give you this. News update. Researchers claim tiny particles in the air may trigger sudden cardiac arrest. Wear a mask to capture the tiny particles. That'll save your ass. I mean, tiny particles like dust, pollen, mold. Humans have lived with dust, pollen, mold. How about this? Carbonaceous smoke soot. That's right, folks, from a fire. We've been fending off pulmonary issues for millennia, thousands and thousands and thousands of years, folks. Day after day, year after year, decade after decade, generation after generation, humans started a fire. They had dust, dirt, mold, particles, smoke, all that shit, inhaling it. Never a problem. I mean, you could get black lung, right? You can get pulmonary issues, but researchers are saying that particles don't affect the lungs, but can trigger, here's that great word, trigger, sudden cardiac arrest. Well, is there cardiac arrest that's not so sudden? Is there cardiac arrest that is creeping cardiac arrest? Or is the heart ready to have a heart attack suddenly, and it just needs something to trigger it? Here we are. Now I'm starting to understand these researchers like Dr. Fauci. Tiny particles will trigger it. That's like turning on a light switch. That triggers the light to come on. So you inhale a particle and your heart goes, that's it, I freaking quit. Yeah. Right? That's it. That's how that works. Researchers are making that claim, folks. After hundreds of thousands of years, researchers are claiming, and researchers are claiming again that tiny particles trigger sudden cardiac arrest. Are you buying that load of shit? Folks, stupidity to the moon, infinity and beyond. Unbelievable, folks. You want some more stupidity? I'll give you stupidity. There's a report out in the news. Oh, well, let's just have some fun with this one, too. People that have sought to deny their own gender, they're changing because now there's a growing trend of transgender people who want surgeries so they can have both male and female genitalia. Now, here's the deal, folks. The homosexuals enjoy the backdoor approach to recreational activities, if you know what I'm saying to you, right? They meet people they like at the bar and they say, hey, can I push in your stool? Right. They already have the backup, if you know what I'm saying. And they already have being homosexual males, the front thing, right? And then let's see, on the girly side, they can put the old strapperoo on the front, right? They're fine too. But now they want plastic surgery to create almost functional, almost lifelike, biologically active parts. Talk about a sick mental problem to go, can't decide if I want to be a male or a female, so I'll be both. And I'm going to go find me a doctor who can take my skin and turn it into a vagina and a penis all at once. This is what's going on, folks. Why don't they just have an innie that they can pull a string on and it becomes an outie when they want an outie, and then they can tuck it back in there when they want an innie? This is a growing trend. Have you noticed the moral decay as we go down this path? Right? In fact, I think we were like going down the path, and the last 2 years, it just fell off a fucking cliff. Beyond stupid to infinity and beyond stupidity. Unbelievable. Now, we'll change gears a little bit here. I'm coming up on my 30-minute mark. Get your questions in. I want to know what you're thinking about. I got lots of thoughts, folks. Now, a far left Supreme Court in Brazil, folks, wants to get rid of the Minister of Defense. That's right. The Minister of Defense and the military are doing what? They're looking into their Nintendo game that occurred 2 weeks ago that appears to have a lot of fraud and theft and lies and cheating. Well, folks, Brazil has a socialist takeover. That would be your fuel. And the thing that is going to spark the fire is their election. That's their tinder, fuel, and sparks. Civil war, folks, in Brazil. It's getting close. Brazil is a big country. It is a massive, massive socialist country if it goes that way, and it can be a massive free country if it goes that way. Brazil, folks, is a big agricultural country. There's a lot of food products that are made in Brazil, grown in Brazil. Same with Argentina and Paraguay to an extent, and Uruguay to an extent, and Chile and Peru, etc. They make a lot of food there. A lot of beef. Oh yeah, beef, folks. It's what's for dinner. Paid for by the Beef Council. Anyways, the Supreme Court down there in Brazil is going to try and take over the country. They don't want the Defense Department to have a say in anything. They don't want the President, Bolsonaro, to execute his, shall we say, authority. Now, how many socialists are down there? We don't know. How many people who want freedom are down there? We know we've seen gatherings of hundreds of thousands, even millions of people. There's a lot of people down there, folks, that are pissed off and wanting to fix their problems. Well, I've got one more thing. Speaking of people who are confused about what they are between their legs and between their fucking ears. I meant Buccaneers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. No, they're fucking ears. Something's wrong between these people's ears. The Christmas parade massacre, where Darrell Brooks Jr. took his SUV and slammed into the crowd of people, killing children and grandmothers last Christmas. He has now been sentenced, folks, to 6 life sentences and an additional 1,067 years in prison. Now, this jackass says, quote, he has, here's the quote, repented and asked God for forgiveness. Oh, now he's a Christian? Now he's a Christian. 2 weeks ago, this fucking clown said, I don't identify as Darrell Brooks Jr. I don't know what happened and who's responsible. It wasn't me. That's right. This fucking clown, folks. At least he gets 6 life sentences plus an additional 1,067 years. Well, 1,067 years, that's another 10 life sentences. Folks, if all BLM and all Antifa terrorists were held accountable for their crimes, like this transgender bender race-hating piece of shit, Darrell Brooks, all of the BLM and Antifa scum terrorists would crawl back under the rocks they used to live under and hide. Unfortunately, we have Camel Toes Harris setting them free and encouraging them. Same with Biden. Same with the Attorney General. That's right. Garlic Man. Same with the FBI, who doesn't see Antifa and BLM as a terror groups. But thank God this Darrell Brooks is getting hammered into the ground like a railroad spike. Well, let's do this, folks. Enough of my bullshit. What do you want to talk about? It is now time for the Q&A.
Are you ready?
Thank you, Mr. T. Once again, doing great work on the on the stills like this. Doing great work on the intros, outros, transitional stuff, and not that other kind of transitional stuff, folks. We don't do that. All right, what do you want to talk about? Let's see it now. Jolene. Oh, it's Ooman. All right, buddy. He says, just heard. Oh, I know what he's going to talk about. He's going to infinity and beyond with the stupidity rocket. Just heard that San Francisco. That's an Oomanation. The Oominator came up with this one. San Francisco is passing legislation for income guarantee of $1,200 paid by the city of San Francisco to people who are of the transgender persuasion. Guess what's going to happen to the number of transgenders in San Francisco? Well, everyone in San Francisco is now a transgender. Shoot, I would go to the city and fill out a paper and go, yeah, I'm a transgender. I'm a boy. I'm a girl. I'm a dog. I'm a fire hydrant. I'm a giraffe. I'm a tree. I'm a kitty cat. I mean, how many things do you have to claim? Do you get $1,200 for everything that you claim to be that you're not? I tell you, man, I read that story, man, about San Francisco. I can't get enough of that. And I thought, this is from The Onion, or this is from the Babylon Bee. This is satire. This has got to be, right, Louder with Crowder. This has got to be a Joe Rogan knockoff. This has got to be something. This has got to be that redheaded dude. It's not. So when I read that story, I picked up my phone. I said, hello, San Francisco. This is John. Now, what I want to do is I want to let you know I'm interested. Yeah, look, you don't have to throw that trans money at me so hard. I just calm down, man. I'll take the money. It's cool. Now, first, I have to tell you, yes, I'm at least 5 different genders. Don't you tell me there's only 2. No. Us transgender people, we say that there are endless genders. There's male and there's female. And I don't have to be one or the other. No. I can be half and half. I can be both at once. I can be a worm. Yes, I went to school. They are asexual. Cut a worm in half. Both halves grow the other half. I could be one of those. Don't tell me I can't be one of those. Oh, you're going to tell me what it is to be a transgender? That's right. You put it in your notes that I know what this shit's all about, man. That's right. Now, I think I should be entitled to $1,200 for being a transgender. Yeah, I know that's the rule, right? That's what's coming up. Guess what? I'm also trans personality. That's right. Like that idiot killer. Yeah, up in Waukesha. He was another person altogether. He had other identities. Some were male, some were female, some were worms. I don't fucking know. But if you can claim to be different genders and a transgender, then I can claim to have multiple personalities. I bet I could get a doctor. Don't tell me I can't do that. I could get a number of psychologists and psychopaths. I mean, those psycho dudes, the smart guys who say, tell me about your mother on the couch. Yeah, those guys. I can do that. I can get one of them to certify that I'm a lunatic. I mean, certify that I have multiple personalities and each one is distinct and just as important as the other. And you're going to make me cry, man. I'm breaking. Stop it, John. See, you almost had one of them come out. So for every person that I am and every gender that I am, you guys got to pay me $1,200 a month. And if you don't, I'm going to sue you. Oh, also, I'm a trans stater. I don't live in California anymore or San Francisco, but I do. All of my personalities live in San Francisco except for this one here where I receive my mail in Mississippi. That's right. You got to mail my check to Mississippi because all the rest of the other me's live in San Francisco. And I heard the song, I left my heart in San Francisco. That's right. That's me. That guy. I'm that guy. I also identify as Tony Bennett. Oh, yeah, I identify as Tony Bennett and Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. and Bing Crosby. Bing. You see what I'm saying to you? Yeah, that's right, man. Yeah. What? Hello? Folks, I tell you what, when I do the phone thing, I know it's kind of silly. I know. But that really just comes out. all of this ridiculousness out here. It is fodder, it's food, it's energy, it's power to talk about what a bunch of lunatics these leftist, socialist, fascist, communist, fuckwad globalists are. They've lost their fucking minds. $1,200 a month. All right, enough of that shit. What do you guys want to talk about next? Jolene, surprise me. Oh, okay. Red Arrow says, my state is largely rural and conservative, with 2 large liberal cities. Is there any hope of instituting something like the Electoral College in the States? If that were to happen, if there's not already a provision in there to protect the minority from the tyranny of the majority, it would have to be, if it's not already in there, it would have to be approved through a constitutional amendment. See, that is where the Constitution protects the republics, the individual state republics, right? If you look at the California flag, I grew up with this. It always said the Republic of California. The Republic of California. The Republic of California. I read it forwards. I read it backwards. California, a republic? Why do they keep telling us it's a democracy, right? As a kid, I was like, well, then I need to learn what a fucking republic is. Yeah, proper, right? You can't just pass a law. You would have to pass to deal with elections and how the state is run. It would have to be a constitutional amendment that would have to additionally fall in line with the precepts and concepts of what a republic is. Like the idea that supermajority can pass an amendment to the Constitution to outlaw alcohol, to me, is repugnant. It's beyond repugnant. And they did pass this shit, and it did pass, and then it got repealed. Fuck the government at every level that thinks they can tell you, a free person, what to do. The Constitution is set up as a republic at the state and the federal level, not to impose rules and restrictions on us, me and you, the people, but to impose serious restrictions on government. The Constitution is to regulate the government, to limit the government, to shackle the government, to confine the government, not to empower the government to do whatever the fuck it wants. I really wish I had a national platform that I could discuss such things on. The idea that one human or a gang, a gaggle, a flock of humans can tell other humans what to do because they're like, we got a majority and therefore you got to do what we say because, you know, that's how that shit works. No, it's not. My rights are not only collective, but individual. My right to consume alcohol or smoke tobacco or cigar or a blunt, tell you what, those are individual rights. They come from God, right? Not government. Government can't take away that which it wasn't given power in the first fucking place, but I digress, and I know I'm preaching to the choir. There it is. Okay, Jolene, what do we got next? Oh, we got Boomer 21. He says, our ancestors fought for freedom. Yes, they did. We might have to do it again. Yes, we will. If this would be 70 years ago, we would have revolted already. And that, my friends, is why they have incrementally gone after our country. Little piece by little piece by little piece, incrementally taking small chunks, not big steps. When they take big steps, what happens? The people are like, hey, that's enough of that shit, right? That assault weapons ban that was done in the early 90s with upchuck dipshit Schumer and that bitch out of San Francisco, that's right, Senator Barbara Feinstein, they passed that crap and they pissed a whole lot of people off and they woke a lot of America up. And ever since then, folks, when that sunsetted and they got rid of that bullshit law, they started fighting it in court and saying, you know what, that's unconstitutional. And since then, the left has been losing to the individual right to keep and bear arms in every court case. Now, we put that back up if we would, Jolene. Thank you. They pushed a lot on this cerveza bug thing, COVID, and they pushed a lot on this Jim Jones juice shit and mandatory vaccines, and the people woke the fuck up. And here we are again. But they have, over our entire lives, convinced the world, right, that, well, the Constitution is just a piece of paper, and you can just pass laws that negate it. No, you can't. It's a constitutional republic. And anytime the government does something that they're not authorized, that is tyranny, and it is a usurpation of power and a theft against the people. Just like the 16th Amendment, which was unlawfully ratified or not properly ratified, since to unlawfully ratify something nullifies it right there. But there it stands. In fact, the 16th Amendment really has nothing to do with income taxes, but they tell us it does. We should have revolted many times, folks, but instead people have allowed the democratic process of working through the republic and its structure, its three branches, the legislative, executive, and the judicial. We've continued to use this voting thing, that democratic principle embedded in our republic. And you probably heard me talking a lot about that now lately. The democratic principle and process is not how the country is run. It just helps govern the election of people who have to, or have sworn to, even though they don't understand their own fucking jobs, right? Uphold and defend this republic against all enemies, foreign and domestic. We need some laws, like if you work for the government and you violate people's rights, you go to prison. That, my friends, is how you preserve a republic. Just like sending that jackass up in Waukesha, Wisconsin, to jail for how many life terms and 1,000+ years on top of that? That's right. You fuck around with other people and you get the consequences. The fuck around and find out. The FAFO rule should come into play for any politician at any level of government. You violate people's rights, you're done, right? Just like Mr. Cop that was responsible for the passing of St. George Floyd. He is a government employee and was found personally responsible for violating the rules and causing undue harm. Government violating my rights, my constitutional rights, is undue harm. It is not due to me. I do not earn or deserve to have my rights violated, yet they've done it. Yet they have done it. That is undue harm. So Senator Feinstein, Senator Schumer, Representative Hoyer, Representative 90-proof stinking Nancy, you want to violate my rights? That is undue harm, and you should be held accountable as surely as anyone else. All right, let's move on. I know I got up on my soapbox. And folks, it is the ballot box, then the soapbox, then the bullet box. Nancy Kaag, what does she have to say? Here's a question. Has there ever been a president who has ever had a high government position after they were president? Yeah, Barack Hussein Barry Soetoro Obama. He is continuing to run the country through his proxy toad, Joe Biden. There are presidents who have gone on to serve. And this is a hazy memory, Nancy. I believe it was either John Adams or John Quincy Adams, I think, served in Congress after he was president. You see, back then, and I can't remember, someone correct me if they can, look that up, which president served as a congressman after. I think it was one of the Adams gentlemen. The point of this and my response is that the idea of serving the people in the government, it wasn't to get to the lofty plateau of the president, but rather to take office, to guarantee that government officials could be held accountable and that the government would be run properly. Today, it's quite different. Today, you get into office and you shoot for the top. And all along the way, you feather your nest. You do investments. You make deals. You get in bed with companies, right? So that when you get done, whatever plateau you're at, you parachute, pull the cord to that golden parachute and sail into even more money. It's all money and power and money now. But back then, folks, 200 years ago plus, it was about serving your country and protecting and preserving your country, your constitution, your rights, and those of your family, right? Your state, the people in your state. That was important because they knew back then, if this gets out of hand, out of control, others will come in and then they will be hurt. That is to say, let's just assume I was correct and it was President John Adams. He came back to serve again. He knew that in the future, his family members, if they didn't preserve the Constitution, his later family members, his children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, would suffer under the hands and the axe of tyranny if they didn't preserve their rights and serve the country honestly, fairly, openly, right? So they wanted to serve for other reasons. And they had honor back then. And that is why Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton got in a duel, right? Two great statesmen who believed so strongly in what they believed, right, that they got in a duel and one of them was killed. All right. Ooh, man, I was thinking you were going to do it, man. I was thinking you would look up and find out who was the president that served in Congress afterwards, or at least ran for Congress. Can't remember who. It's been a long time since I've done that history, folks. All righty. Let's, for the time being, though, we've got just under 10 minutes left. We got Bonnie Blue 2A. It says, we are in serious trouble if the Department of Justice, that would be Merrick Garlick, and their agencies are not de-weaponized against half of the U.S. citizenry. I concur. I agree wholeheartedly, Bonnie Blue. It's true. Now, who can do that? Who can do that? John Voight says only Trump can do it. Only Trump can go in there and drain the swamp and kick the shit out of everybody. I don't agree with John Voight to that degree. I do agree that Trump is probably willing to give that a shot. But it does. They need, right. Sunshine needs to pour upon what these assholes in DC and at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland are doing. It needs to be exposed, and we need to, folks, through our opinion and sharing it very loudly with Congress, the Senate, everybody at every level, right? Text, voicemail, email, any mail, snail mail, carrier pigeon. We need to tell them, we see what you're doing, fuckers. Don't mess with us, right? And get not only the Department of Justice, which is the FBI, folks, and the Attorney General's office, but also the rest of the DC bureaucracy. They need to be defanged, declawed, dethroned. They think they rule over us as if they're kings and pontiffs. They need to be dethroned, defanged, declawed, and they need to be disincentivized for violating our rights by actually giving them some jail time for undue harm and constitutional violation. Remember, right? Remember the cop who went to jail for 20-something years now is what he's been hit with for being there when St. George Floyd was dying from his fentanyl drug overdose. He was held accountable for violating that man's rights. Right? Whether or not he died doesn't matter. He violated his rights, and that was what made it wrong. That is why he went to jail. Right? Now, I think legislators should go to jail too for violating our rights, our constitutional rights. They, just like that cop, are just as big a member of the government, if not bigger. And being put in office by others and saying, well, a majority of people voted for me, and so therefore what I do is just fine. The fuck it isn't. All right, let's move on. If we got more, Jolene, we got more. And this is from Google. Only one president, Andrew Johnson, served as a U.S. senator after his presidency. How about that? Uman says John Quincy Adams did that. Andrew Johnson did as well, but died after the first session. President Johnson and then Senator Johnson, he was the first president to ever be impeached. John Quincy Adams returned to the House from 1830 to 46. I was correct. How about that shit? The old noodle's still working. I guess those spike proteins, pow, 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 aren't beating me up. I think I kicked the ever-loving shit out of them. And by the way, I'm a pureblood. No Jim Jones juice for me. Thank you very much. And fuck you, Dr. Fauci. Andrew Johnson, President Andrew Johnson, returned to the Senate in 1875, but died after only one session. There it is, folks. Once again, an example of the stellar cranial capacity of the prepared mind. Folks, look. We all live our lives. We all have memories. We all do our very best. I have done my very best to pack my brain full of useful information. Nancy Kaag says, thank you for everything you do and say. You're very welcome. And we're all brothers and sisters out here, aren't we? Yeah, I do my very best to remember everything I can, to apply everything I can, to share everything I've got up here with you guys. I share not only my own opinion, but the opinions of others. Sometimes I argue other people's opinions for the purpose of having the discussion. Right? That's why I pick up the phone and I'm like, hey, dumbass, right? And I play the satirical, sardonic, and cynical devil's advocate to show you how stupid these people are by illustrating their stupidity by having their arguments for them right here, right? Unlike liberals of TikTok where they go out and get actual liberals, I just borrow their stupidity for the show. I mean, it's incredible to me. This is really incredible, right? It's incredible how empowering they must feel when they make the most asinine and ludicrous statements. And then they decide, I like that. And I believe what I just said, even though it has nothing to do with logic, intelligence, reality. They just make shit up and go, that was brilliant. I like that. It just made my life easier. And by the way, send me $1,200 for doing so. That's how fucking stupid these people are. That they believe their own bullshit. I got 6 different genders. You bet. Because gender is just a social construct. Never mind those stupid chromosomes, right? Wikipedia, yeah. Phew. I've been on hold for 3 fucking years, Wikipedia. You know how bad your music is? Okay, anyways, now that I got you on the phone, Wikipedia, I want you to go in and just get rid of that X chromosome, Y chromosome. We don't need that. That's a social scientific construct. We're just going to go with the pure social bullshit idea that I have. And that's, you can be whatever gender. I don't want an X chromosome. I don't want a Y chromosome. You know what I want? Any letter I want. I want chromosome identity choice. The freedom to choose what I want. A Z, and then I could, and I'm chromosome fluid. I could change from Z to Q over to P or anyone I want. Hey, if I want G as my chromosome, who are you to tell me no? Who are you to tell me no? It's a conspiracy theory that there's only X and Y and that women are XX and men are XY. That's a conspiracy. I'm tired of that. Your Wikipedia, you're the most thoroughly researched and left-wing established bullshit source of information. So fix it and get it in every school book. And then I want you to go out there and fact check anyone else who says there's only men and women. I'm tired of them. Those people suck, even though they pay all of the taxes, pay all the bills, make everything happen, kick some ass, protect us from communists. Us communists are tired of that shit. I'm very serious. And thanks for keeping me on hold. And I love listening to the Muzak version of Stairway to Heaven. I only heard it about 60 frickin' times a day. Okay, bye. Folks, the chromosome issue is a conspiracy theory. Now, the White House, folks, they came out and responded to the House Republicans investigating the Biden crime family. And they said it is, quote, a long debunked conspiracy theory. That's right, folks. The fact that Bidens have been involved in graft, corruption, theft, etc., that's just a conspiracy theory. We need to knock that shit off. We need to get rid of these conspiracy theories. And I want to thank you for coming to the preparedmind.club and subscribestar.com, one or the other, and signing up for our premium service. $2 a month or $2,000 a month. Or San Francisco can donate $1,200 a month. But just $2 a month is all we ask. It helps keep us right here in the bunker, bringing you, folks, bringing you the information that you need, the information I need. I need to talk about this shit because it's out fucking outrageous. Folks, chance favors the prepared mind is yours. Godspeed, Semper Fi, get prepared, and take action on your own behalf. Let's save our republic and wake America up.